Happy Monday, friends! Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the Dungeon Cooldown. It's me,
Hello.
and joined by Carrie Lee Cartwright. Hello, Carrie, darling.
Hello.
Welcome, friends. Yeah, we're here. We had to start a little later. Somebody had a fancy same-day callback. It happens.
I don't know.
We're
Yeah.
we're working actors, and I don't know if you know this about working on camera actors, but a lot of stuff comes in same day, or at least with
Yeah.
very little warning or notice.
Yes.
Seeing folks in chat: Angel Devilson, Fifth Rate, Josh Peasley, Tiny
Yay.
Misfortunes, Johnny Valentine. Hi, friends. Happy Monday. Let's see. Yeah, it is now officially December of 2022.
Where does the time go?
Time is a flat circle. It's a weird soup. See, Joe, Gateway Guy. Hi, friends. Time is.
I think I feel similarly about time that Coco does about.
I mean, it's relatable. I seriously like.
Are we in the Feywild?
Yeah, I mean, every time Coco talks about how time is weird in the Feywild, you're like, no, that was about 2.5 years of the pandemic too. It was like
Yep.
it's the slowest, fastest era of our lives. Yeah, it was literally like we've tried to remember when things were, and you had a couple like big, like benchmarks of like, well, around this time this was happening, but besides that, I mean, it was all just a mess. Yeah.
I wish we could like look inside somebody's brain, like neural pathways and stuff.
Sure.
It just sort of makes me wonder if like just structurally, if things have just changed, like they branched off like abruptly
Right.
in yeah.
I mean, just the number of things that it has changed, right? I mean, just like the
Yeah.
amount of like I think it's I've joked, but it's not a joke, that basically almost all my conversations, like getting together with friends over the last few months, has been about like work-life boundaries. And just how talking about like how the pandemic like shifted so many things, and being able to be like having to get better at stopping, like like
Yeah.
no stop. And now like the old norms of like, oh, I can't make it to your thing because of this really long drawn out excuse that I might be making up, but now it's like
It's
like
just like, no, I can't.
I can't. I don't have the mental headspace for that. And you just go,
Mm-hmm.
uh-huh. And you're like, oh, I get it.
You're like, oh no, I get it. No problem. No problem.
I've said this
Yeah.
before, but my favorite quote about the last few years, it's turned the question, how are you, into a very personal question.
Yeah. I don't even really still know how to answer that. What have
Right.
you been up to?
Um, what do I feel comfortable
D&D?
telling you?
Yeah.
Surprisingly not much.
I know.
Yes.
Does in the TDR community, do we have any like brain scientists or like neuroscientist
We've got some
people?
doctors. I don't know if we have any
Ooh.
brain scientists. I'm not sure. That's right. Angel
I
Devil
mean,
says,
they yeah.
Angel Devils, it says, I've lost all concept of time. I only know it's Wednesday because it's time for TDR. I can relate.
Yay! I feel the same way. I
Seriously,
feel the same way.
having a benchmark every week of like, well, on Wednesday this is gonna happen.
Yeah, but when we watch those dungeon, a number of the cast members will watch the
The Dungeon
dungeon
Rush,
rush,
just to
like
make sure
just
we're
to
caught up.
brush up. Yeah, and I literally will be, or the little things on TikTok or whatever,
Clips, yeah.
the videos. I'm like, I legitimately have no recollection.
That happens all the time. No, like I watch, like, people will mention clips or like things that they'll say like have now become like, oh, you had this great line and in this or around this time, and I was like, I did? I have no memory of
Yeah,
saying that,
yeah,
or what the
yeah.
context was or anything like that. Of course you remember big moments, stuff like that. But yes,
I mean, maybe,
maybe.
maybe.
What happened? Card Speak is this Wednesday. That's the Katie episode. That is correct. Yes, let's get to some of the awesome business. We are so
Oh my gosh,
excited.
please.
Wednesday night is going to be the epic adventures of Ursula Scratch. We mentioned it on last Wednesday's episode, and we've started pushing it on all of our social medias. Katie Michaels is coming back as Ursula Scratch to kind of introduce or tell us about what they've been up to. I mean, I think the audience probably knows more than you or I do, Carrie, because we saw her get on the back of a Kieran and fly off And then y'all saw about a 20-minute secret room that I have no idea what happened in. So you all probably have a slightly better idea what happened than we do.
So is this one? Is it a one shot? It's technically a one shot, but are they kind of using the universe that we're living in?
Correct. It is. We're calling it's like a canonical one shot. So it is a one night adventure that takes place in our story with Ursula and 3 new characters that we're going to get to meet. If you haven't seen the announcement, the incredible cast that's going to be joining Katie, because Ursula's not been alone out there the entire time. So we're going to have Amy Vorpal, Nassim Etemad, and Vince Casso, who are all incredible. Nassim and Amy have played with us before. I've actually I have met Nassim in person, but Nassim's never been around the table with us before, and so really excited. She was amazing on Fortune and Fate. And Vince we've never played with before at all. He's just a friend of a friend and does some amazing work on other shows. He and Amy have actually worked together on the Guild D&D show. He's hilarious. I don't know how much actual D&D is going to get played on Wednesday because it's one of those tables that is hilariously funny, and we're like, oh, this just might be a 4-hour-long riff. We'll see.
Oh, man. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be so fun.
Go, is the Ursula one-shot being treated as a secret room? That is an excellent question. I don't know. I will be there kind of helping run things, so I don't know. I will verify with Ron and Jared how if the rest of the cast will be allowed to watch. That's a good question.
What were you dressed up as for Halloween again? Was it a cat?
Oh no, I was for the Halloween one. Yes, I was the Catboy. The Catboy
is Catboy going to be at this canonical one shot?
Maybe.
Just saying.
Whenever I'm just producer in the background, I will always appear as Catboy.
Catboy.
The Catboy returns. Oh my goodness. So yes, that is Wednesday night. We're so excited for that. And then the following Wednesday, which is the 14th, we're back for the next episode as we rush back to find out what happens with the rest of us in the labyrinth, and that will be our last show of 2022. Stay tuned for a lot more coming in 2023. We got some fun stuff planned, but yes, because we're going to go off for 2 weeks, because that'll be the 21st and the 28th that we'll be off for. I'm sure we'll put out some fun stuff here on social media and other places, on TikTok for whatever, but no shows in that last half of December. But yeah, so watch Wednesday night. That's going to be a blast. Kari, let's talk about last week's episode. It was rough.
Oh, wow. I think I'm still just like, what? What?
It was probably, look, tough sessions happen. Rough sessions happen.
Okay, so what how normal was this as a tough set? You know what I mean?
Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Okay. I just don't know. Like, I'm like, is this normal for D&D for this to happen every once in a while?
Everybody rolls like crap for the entire night, and and it was just timed horribly, and we were whiff after whiff. It happens. Josh Peasley says, I thought it was going to be a TPK. The fight isn't over. Spoiler alert. Could still happen when we come back in 2 weeks, or a week and a half now. Yeah.
How's the audience doing? I mean, if anybody buckled up that whole time, I mean, we didn't know what to do. Collectively around the table, we were like, we don't know what we're...
so tense. I was so tense.
It was very tense.
It was, any plan you might have had was completely destroyed by any plan you might have for the start of a battle. Too bad you're all paralyzed because we all failed our rolls, and we were all just...
stuck in amber,
meat for the beast, as they just all swarmed in on us. And there were a number of
ways that we were all incapacitated or paralyzed, just like at different times.
And Cristobal almost died. And so there are sessions that'll be like an epic fight that'll take almost the whole session. This was kind of that, mixed with the first part, which was a bunch of extra tension and like just high tension, and the puzzle that was, I mean, Kari, I feel bad because
Why?
You might not be as aware of this as I know. Ron and Jared were sort of looking at me like, Morgan, you're gonna get this puzzle right, and I'm like, I don't know. and I did not, because I got something of a reputation as being the puzzle solver in campaign 1. Man.
Well, like in my real life, I love puzzles. I don't know if I'm as much as like a riddler, like a person who solves riddles, but like I think they're really fun and interesting, and I love figuring that type of that kind of thing out. But it killed me when we went to break and Jared was like, Kari, you kind of said when you get older you kind of get curved.
Someone pointed in chat. Someone pointed out in the YouTube comments that, because we were all like, did we say spine? I thought we said spine, and I don't think we ever did. But you came the closest, I think, very early on when you said something about an old curved back. And I think for me it was a couple things. It was the timer, which was visible right over Adam's shoulder in my eyeline.
You said you like kind of melted down. You were like melting down. I don't know if the audience could tell that Morgan was having a meltdown.
It was too much information. And honestly, it was sort of one of those puzzles. And now this is not on Ron and Jared. It was beautifully drawn up by Ron and Jared.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But it was almost too many clues for my brain. Because how many clues were like 10, like 12 clues? And I bet if you'd just given me like 4, I might have solved it. Because
he did say he was going to either do that next time, or he was thinking about doing that. Like if we couldn't get it within this time frame, he would give us another clue. And I was like, I think that might be a good idea.
It was like any solution I would come up with, I would go, no, that matches this, but I'm not sure it matches clues 8 and 9. And I just overthought it. It was a classic overthink. And the fact that we were timed, which I as tense as it made me, I actually loved as a gameplay mechanic, because who knows how long we would have sat there if they hadn't timed us. Or maybe if they hadn't timed us, maybe we would have gotten it done much faster. I have no idea.
Was everybody at home though just like screaming at their screens? Like,
I checked. I went back and checked chat, and definitely some people, I think someone, Angel Devils had pointed it out, chat had solved it within about 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you guys.
Now,
I feel so bad. That must have been so awful and just drudgery.
Well,
but like,
I don't know.
Hopefully you stayed with us.
I was going to say, I think no matter what, I think it was entertaining for people. And that's the thing. And where we'll always go back to the thing we talk about every time is you have nights where you roll great and you have nights where you roll bad, and rolling bad is just good story sometimes. Blue Elf, thank you for subscribing with Prime. We really appreciate you. If you didn't know this, by the way, if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe free to Twitch channels. So we really appreciate that. Thank you. But Tiny Misfortune says it was so fun. Everybody else.
Oh, good.
Dungeon Speedrun said screaming at the screen equals engagement. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I love how sharp the audience was though. That you guys, somebody or multiple people just got it like that. I'm like, you guys are amazing. The fact that you can get it so quickly.
And there are definitely kinds of puzzles that I'm slightly better at than others. Like visual puzzles. I remember Jeff did a really great puzzle in campaign 1 with the pirate ship, where it was these coins that were like flipping over, and there was something visual about it that I went like, that's what it is. And then the other one, it was basically like a word guessing, like word scramble crossword puzzle, which is my bread and butter.
Those.
I love
those.
I can kill those all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those I got like that. The fact that was
famous last words.
I know.
I don't know if Jared and Ron are paying attention, but you just heard Morgan say that. So I mean,
I seriously, I caution anyone to start getting the reputation as the puzzle solver, because then Wednesday happens and oof, that was
But
rough.
you said you could solve them like that. See, I said I liked them.
True.
I'm careful not to say I'm so good at those.
You're very correct. You're absolutely right. You're right. I struggle. I'm pretty good. I will say I'm pretty good at crossword puzzles. I can on the New York Times crossword puzzles, I can normally get through them Monday through Friday every week. Saturdays will occasionally give me trouble.
Have they ever had like a D&D themed crossword puzzle?
I mean, I'm sure someone has. I'm not sure though.
No, but like for the New York Times, don't they do like themes sometimes?
Not that I've seen. They may have done one recently. I'm sure they have occasional
Maybe they will
clues.
with the movie that's coming out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that new movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay. So, but this is all to say tough sessions happen. That was a tough session. And I think we all by it and the ending of the session doesn't help either because we're not out of the woods. And I was like, because the session, spoiler alert, the session ended with Saint being seemingly taken away. By the way, what the heck was that with Capre at the end where a tentacle came out of like where her arm used to be?
I don't know. Made me think that wasn't really Capre. I don't know. It was just really.
It was. I mean, maybe it was Capre for a little bit, but Grimora had some control over her because we also saw Capre kill Nagrok very emotionally in a very Ron had like a heartbreaking moment where it was, you know, this moment of between them, but then yeah, I don't know, there's so much to figure out.
But I just kept thinking, but is Nagrok really dead? Like, is that
gonna be hard to know that for sure 100%.
Yeah, I just didn't trust anything, and that was part of the thing when we first went into battle, when we all of a sudden were in battle, and I was like, I just kept thinking, like, especially with Nagrok and stuff, I'm like, I don't remember what is effective on him. Right. I didn't remember, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Because I'm like, I don't know if this does anything.
Right. It was, yeah, well, and I think that's a testament to the labyrinth that had come before, where we were like, it was sort of built to make us question ourselves and not know what was real. And so it was so bad so fast that we were like, is this real or is this all just messing with our minds? And so,
I mean, truly, yeah.
And Val's a fighter, so Val's just gonna stab and see what happens. And basically like, no, this is hurting us. We're in trouble. We got to get out of this. And
yeah, I was happy that I finally Coco grabbed some, you know, had a little bit of more purchase at the end there, but
right.
I don't know. Ugh.
It was really true. I mean, and it everything got, I think poor Adam was struggling to like get to just, you know, saw the nest, and I think we all kind of spotted that nest seems important, we should try to damage that nest, but then he was just rolling so poorly that it's like it took him like 3 turns to set the nest on fire.
Well, I thought about that early on, because I was like, maybe I can just set one of my arrows on fire and shoot it up there, but then there was part of me, I don't know, something else happened and I had to tend to that instead. Right. But I also was like, but is this nest important? Like, does it do anything to get rid of it? I mean, aren't there nests like everywhere?
Unsure. Totally unsure. I mean, and that's sometimes you follow your hunches and sometimes your hunches are wrong. And the battles can become that. It's again like no plan survives contact with the enemy, right? Where any plan that might happen, like, you know, like bunching up or anything like that, we were immediately all incapacitated with the amber, and then Cristobal went down, and so suddenly, like, anything I wanted to do over here, I gotta get over to our wizard or he is dead. It's just sort of like, it was
really hard to know. Yeah, it was so hard to know what to do. Right. I'm curious for anybody who's listening, if you saw that there was anything that we could have done or that you wished we would have done in that battle, I mean, that maybe would have helped things. Like, I'm so curious. I'm always interested what the audience thinks, like, as an outside perspective, like something we don't see, you know?
I mean, right. I think focusing, and we tried our best, and this was the other thing that happened that I think the first time I saw happen to you was Nagrok started counterspelling you, which sucks.
I know.
Sucks.
You guys.
Not fair. Not fair. But also it is fair, and this is what happens. Yeah,
Is it? I'm like, I feel like I'm playing with a mean D&D player who doesn't know how to improvise in Yes and. It's like, what's happening? No. You're like the worst teammate, Nagrok.
Counterspelling is the ultimate improv killer. You're like, and I'm going to do this thing. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Not real.
That was hard. That made things real hard, especially because it still takes up a spell slot.
It's bad. Well, the good thing is that Cristobal will be able to start doing it as well, and but that's how cool. Spellcaster fights can start to become like real nasty. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so interested to know. I'm
Yeah.
so interested to know.
But I think Fifth Ray points out, not really. You had good ideas, but the roles were killing you. Yep, that's how that can
Oh.
happen sometimes. And that
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it. Thanks for that feedback.
and then you just gotta kind of put yourself in position to figure out what you can. I mean, and Otto was running for the door. It was just, and
Yeah.
that's certainly an option. I as I said, I don't think the fight is over when we get back, no matter what happened to Saint. So we still got to get out of this. Not great.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky to know what to do when there are like three giant birds
Right.
like attacking at different times, and then
Right.
you have this like weird skeleton guy, and then somebody
Right.
else, and and you know, when we were all frozen, it seemed to make more sense to scatter if you could move so you could draw them away.
Yes.
But then we're like not working together as a team.
Right.
And for me personally, that's what I've really enjoyed playing D&D as a new player is I really love the teamwork.
Absolutely. Same.
I like it when we play with each other while
Right.
it's just really rewarding and I think it's probably more fun for the audience, but
Yeah.
I think it was necessary. We kind of had to scatter.
We were so bunched
Really
up.
was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're so bunched up and there's a spellcaster right there, he could do that thing where what he did, where we were all just like, and we all suddenly failed to save, and that can happen.
Yeah.
So it was like scatter but work together. I mean, and I think as tense as it was, and as much as we're still in it when we get back, I think every party and every story has to have moments like this, right? It has to, and you forget that sometimes where you're in it because you're like, oh my god, that was so rough. But it's just sort of like, yeah, you gotta rock bottom sometimes.
Would you say that this was like did you guys have really awful nights like this
Oh
in the
yeah.
first campaign? Okay, okay.
Oh yeah, it
I was
happens to everybody.
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, and
Yeah.
and this was yeah. No, this party fights very different than the campaign one party.
Mm.
But having said that, like, oh yeah, no, these kind of nights happen. Now, but I think it's an opportunity for us as the characters and as the storytellers to focus on exactly what you're talking about, which is like, guys, we got to work together. That sucked.
Yeah.
Like that got real bad. And
Yeah.
yeah, stay alive, but oof. Yeah.
Yeah. That was real. Ooh.
But I wanted to.
Yeah.
Zadia says, "Does Kari know about the heist?" I knew someone was gonna bring it up. The heist
What?
from campaign 1, which I just want to make you watch the episode. There was an episode
Okay.
where we were separated, and so Jeff was secret rooming us. Jessica got captured, and it was me, Katie, Ron, and Jared on the other side. She was inside the house, and the original idea was supposed to be a heist inside the house, but we couldn't communicate with each other, and we were separated. And
Oh my gosh.
it was amazed we all didn't die. Amazed. Because
So was it kind of messy? Was it real messy? And then
incredibly messy. The four of us came up with an idea for a plan that if we had known anything of what Jessica knew, we would have known the plan was going to fail immediately, but we did not know that. And the audience is watching it all going, oh no. And we're like, we got this great plan. And it was, and Jeff, you could watch him going like, I'm about to kill everybody.
Oh no.
He's like, I'm about to kill everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to do that? Okay. All right. Like,
oh gosh.
it was a ride.
That sounds really fun. I'm really excited to see what happens when we get back to it, but we're not going to get back to it for a really long time.
I know. Well, and I was going to say too, also, slight clue in the battle was that tentacle that came out of Capray's arm at the end, which feels a little cosmic-y, feels a little alien and cosmic-y, which makes me we've been like waiting for the Force of Cosmos shoe to drop, and we've obviously been so like, this has been so intrinsically about nature, and even Nagrok has been, a druid, seemingly a bad druid, but a druid, and made me think that like the powers from Grimora are a bit more about cosmos, and I'm looking forward to kind of finding out a little bit more about that if we can. But yeah, we gotta pull it together and get out of this fight when we're back, because oof. And yeah, and having to sit in it sit in it for the next week and a half. Not fun.
Yeah, rough.
We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
We do have some community questions that I want us to get to, because there's some good ones. Tuo Mask, very much in the same vein of what we're talking about. Any regrets entering the Minos Valley and the labyrinth? Regrets.
You mean entering at all?
Just entering at all?
Or anything that we did. Like, right. You guys should have just tried to figure out how to go around.
I mean, once you got on their good side, the Minotaurs seem pretty cool, actually. The Minodonna, that I loved. That one of my favorite Ron Ogden NPCs so far, the Minodonna.
I was struggling with that character because there was something, and it's probably because it's Ron, and it was a very different voice than like Queen Mab or anything, but there was something about it. I don't know if it was like so Southern charmy.
Oh, there's something fake about it.
That, yeah, I was like, there's something really wrong with this.
Yeah,
But I feel like Coco's always skeptical in this weird way, and I'm like, I feel like,
why wouldn't you be?
But I don't know, but I didn't end up questioning them very much.
I know.
So I'm like, oh.
There was that kind of a no one's that nice aspect to it.
Well, it just seemed too easy. Like, here you go.
Right.
You can enter this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and she's, bless your heart, hope you survive. Basically, it was kind of like,
yeah.
I mean, she did give us a blessing, thank gosh, because that bless is doing good things for me, for certain.
Yeah. Did they clarify whether or not they meant us entering the Minos Valley at all?
They didn't. I mean, I think we can do two things, which is the Minos Valley, and that was the other thing, and the labyrinth. Look, what other options did we have? Those Sphinx would have torn us to shreds, even if we had been able to fly overhead, which none of us have the power to fly. And then, yeah, I mean, no matter what, as far as if you can't tell on our map, it's literally mountains on all sides. So it was either climb a mountain to get past it, or go through the valley. So it really seems like, regrets. Sure, some things could have gone better, but I don't know what other choice we would have had. Yes. Kildoran, I wonder what would have happened if you got the riddle right. We all wouldn't have been cursed, that's for starters, and those curses suck.
That almost sunk us just right there.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah, that was rough.
5th rate. You just climbed down from a mountain. That's true. Doesn't mean I want to go back up it. That was terrible. Remember when we were rolling Constitution saving throws every 20 minutes or whatever it was? Yeesh. Yeah.
I love the rolling part of the game. I think it's so fun. Sometimes I'll leave and I'm like, I barely even got to roll my dice. There's something about it. I find it so fun. Satisfying.
Indeed. I wonder if there'll be multiple stacking curses as you go through. There already were. Because we had the force of nature, right, from the Fae stuff. That was a curse, and then we got the curse of getting the Sphinx thing wrong. Like those were multiple curses.
It was curse on curse on curse.
It really was. It was not great, Bob. I feel like
that could be a motto of this. It's like curse on campaign 2, curse on curse on curse.
But will there be more? Says Gogo. I don't know, man. By the way, FF Gogo, while you're here in chat, I just want to say FF Gogo has been the one going into all of our YouTube VODs and time coding all of the little moments.
Thank
Gogo,
you.
While we're here, I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. It's incredible of you. It's really awesome and makes it really fun and really easy for some of us who need to go back and find little moments to find those moments. Thank you so much. Really
that is so
it.
kind.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome member
really
of the community. Cool. We're really thankful for you. Thank you. Cursapalooza, says 5th rate. That's right. Oh, goodness. Okay. Red Robin's got some more questions. Kari, is Coco being purposely vague with parts of her background?
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Clarifying question about a vagueness, vagary.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes. Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes Coco's life has been pretty confusing, but sometimes it is intentional. Okay.
Right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I think how long has the whole party known each other at this point? Has it been a week?
10 days? 10 days? something like
Yeah, it
that.
hasn't been that long. I think
Something
that
like that.
there are some things where it's like when you meet somebody and you're trying to create healthy boundaries,
Sure.
because not having boundaries has gotten you in a lot of trouble in the
Right.
past. So you're kind of trying to not necessarily withhold, but just sort of wait for the right time
Oh yeah.
to even make sense or process anything that has happened, to whatever has happened to you in the past. But yeah, so
I mean,
I think some vague stuff,
you and I,
but
Kari, have known each other for 6, 8 months, something along that line, something along those lines at that point. And I mean,
mhm.
I know some things about you. There's a lot of things I don't know about you.
Well, yeah,
and
but that's also
we've
because
become good
yeah,
friends. And, that's
yeah,
just how it
yeah,
happens. So
yeah.
yeah, I think that's right. I think that's I've thought about it with Val a lot, where there were a lot of secrets Val was keeping, but at a certain point, it was just sort of like, why am I keeping these secrets? There's still a lot of things that Val hasn't told you guys,
Hmm.
because no one has specifically like asked about X or Y. He's mentioned his X, but there's a lot more there if ever anybody wants to dig.
I mean, Val has just like the deepest backstory. It's like probably you have notebooks on notebooks on notebooks. I mean, you're like such an overachiever when it comes to that. Like
That
I've sort of
stuff
done myself the favor of like having been from where I am, because some of it makes sense and some of it doesn't.
that
And
stuff is fascinating to me though. And some of it I came up with before the adventure started, and you'll do this too, where it's like some of it you'll have drawn out before you started, and then some of it you'll have like ideas about the rest of the stuff. And then I get inspired. The other day, I checked with Ron about something. I don't know if this will ever come out in game, but I was like, Val has talked about this moment before, or talked about this experience before. I know what that is now. And I got inspired because I wrote 2 pages in my notebook of something that happened long before the adventure that was like, you're just slowly kind of find out what the specifics are. That's some of the most fun stuff.
well, I feel like that is so true of life too,
Yeah.
right? Because you have an experience or you react to something in a certain way, or
Yeah.
you think of something in a different way and you're like, huh, and it kind of you like link up a pattern in your
Right.
mind and you're like, oh,
Right.
and you kind of put pieces together of things that have happened in the past or whatever, so things
Yeah.
start to become more clear.
And that's
So
part of D&D is that lovely combination of like pre-written and improvised, where you'll give yourself kind of markers or ideas about, like, I think this era of their life was a little bit like this, and then this was kind of like this. And then as you kind of connect to, or something will strike a chord with you and go, oh, that's what it was. And you'll now go, that era of my life that I thought was like this, it was. And it was like, and here's all the details about that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this show, though, so that,
Oh,
like, getting to sit with a character and getting to
it's great, isn't it?
create that and not have to just like, yeah, it's really cool. It's cool.
It's a lot of fun. I like the kind of patience that you can kind of slow play something, and that you can kind of, keep something to yourself, but play it, and just kind of allow others to, just read you as a person, and just kind of see what happens dropping this kind of person. And you learn things about yourself as a performer all the time, of course. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Red Robin had another question. Speaking of Val, what's the skinny on Val's Echo? Is he sentient or just a spell? Okay, I've talked about this a little bit, but it is not a spell. It is not a spell, and it is sentient. It is not being controlled by Val.
Oh, all right.
It
Okay, can you
it is being
remind me
controlled
when
by me, Morgan. And
yes.
so I am sort of playing two characters, but the Echo is special because the Echo, there are things I don't know about the Echo that Jared and Ron are playing. And even when I control the Echo in battle, Val is not controlling the Echo.
I get you.
Does that
But
make
how
sense?
can you remind me, when did the Echo come about?
First showed up when Val first glimpsed it when we were on the ice floating down the river.
Yeah, but when
Everybody
did it start
else,
fighting for us?
that happened in the Wasp fight. in episode 8. The first time we saw it was right before Cristobal died that first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That first time. Like, it's going to happen again. It's not going to happen again. We must protect Cristobal with all...
It might just be his thing.
I mean, wizards. It does happen with wizards. Zadia says, does Val have a split personality? I won't spoil anything. But no. Not really.
Not really? So yes?
No.
Period.
It's not a spell that he's casting. It's not something that he's doing. Does that make sense? It's not something that he is... I don't even know... it's not even something he's subconsciously doing. It's something that is happening with him. Does that make sense? Is that an all right answer?
Yeah. I'll take it.
Echo Knights. I mean, Echo Knights are the mythology around Echo Knights, how they were created, is super cool and specific. And we have sort of taken that idea of this separate manifestation outside yourself that can act independent of you, taken that idea and kind of made it our own a little bit. Now, again, I will say I have given Ron and Jared some of my ideas, and then I have kind of let them do what they're going to do with it. So there are things about the Echo that even Morgan doesn't know. There's a lot about the Echo that Val doesn't know.
P.S. I really love how, kind of just talking about Ron and Jared, I really love how they're kind of just like starting to really hit their stride.
Yeah.
And just have fun and sort of tag team characters. It's really a joy to play with them.
Yeah. I agree. Agreed. Yeah. It's been stressful for all of us, I think. And I think it has been so much fun, and having that sort of two-headed monster of the NPCs and stuff like that can be so much fun. I can't wait to keep kind of playing it out and figuring out what happens. From Tiny Misfortunes, I've got one. This is kind of a broader one. Name. I know it is. I love this name. What's the thing that surprised you most about the campaign, in or out of the game? I mean, Kari, surprised you most? What did you expect when you started playing Dungeons and Dragons?
To tell you the truth, I didn't expect anything. But this is where I think I'm a lot like Coco, or Coco's a lot like me. I try not to have too many assumptions or expectations, and just try to roll with it.
Sure.
I think that,
see that.
Because I honestly didn't know what to expect, because I wasn't, before I jumped into this game with these people, I wasn't somebody who really even, I clearly didn't watch a lot of D&D, so otherwise I would know more about what was going on. But and so everything's kind of like a delightful surprise. Like, I love being delighted in life, and I'm regularly delighted as a person. And so I just allow that to sort of just happen.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Regularly delighted.
I am I wouldn't say easily, but I am regularly delighted by things. Yeah, and I think that the thing that what was the other part of that question?
Well,
like,
just
the thing that
what
I'm
are
most
in
disappointed
or out of the game? No, most surprised by, I guess, really.
Mm.
Coco's romance with Drek? No.
Something I am a little surprised about, and I can't really wrap my brain around it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fully understand the park and bark aspect of the game.
The park and bark?
Yeah, the park and bark. So
what's that mean?
Where, it's like, so there's battle.
Sure.
And then there's like, we're traveling and we're still,
right.
Sometimes we're traveling or we're resting, and that's when we communicate with one another.
I mean, yeah.
And come up with figure out each other's backstories and all that stuff.
Sure.
But it's interesting because I'm having to like really turn that in my mind, because it doesn't make sense to me, because it's sort of like, I know D&D isn't real life, you guys, and I've said it a couple times that it's just like real life. But there's part of me that's like, you often find out who people are and how they are, and you find out stories along the way while doing the thing.
Right.
So it's almost so strange to me to like, all of a sudden we're here and now we're going to talk about stuff. It's really, it's something that is surprising to me, and it
Mm.
kind of throws me off. Like I don't know how to do it.
Right. Park and bark. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I mean, and it is sort of like it's kind of it's the most open part of the game, you know, or whatever, because it's, and I think I've even talked to you about this before, where it's just sort of like you can do anything you do in battle, you can do out of battle too. It's just the turns go away. It's the minute we
Yeah.
roll initiative, then it's like, okay, now the rules have to get more strict because everything's happening at the same time. And so we need to put
Yeah.
rules on it. So because the timing of everything becomes important.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, I
that's
think
tricky.
yeah, I hope this makes sense, and
It does.
I don't mean for it to sound negative or anything, but
No.
it is interesting. It's sort of like, I don't know if anybody who's listening, you know, when you like meet somebody and they just tell you how they are. I am almost like, why are you telling me that you're a very understanding, open person who does, you know, like all
Yeah.
these things, like we're like almost like a dating profile of some sort. Because to me, I'm like, well, show me who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, let me see who you are
And
through
that's that.
what goes on in our shared experience,
And I
if
think
that makes
that's
sense.
kind of that, like, I think everybody has their different style of role play in that matter, where it's sort of like, you know, you've got downtime, whether you're traveling or whether, and so conversations will pop up, and then, but sometimes it's like, I think in this period of time, if a night goes by, Val would have wanted to have this conversation with Coco, and so that can kind of happen. Whereas Serena, I found, is really good at narrating herself. I mean, she's great at role play and conversation as well, but she has kind of a an outside in thing sometimes where she's like, I feel like Otto in this moment is here,
Mm-hmm.
and so he would do this, and
Mm-hmm.
she's really great at narrating herself that way, and it's really interesting to play with that type of character. It's different, and I like it. Whereas I am trying for the most part to kind of bring it out in action or just in questions, you know, or something like that. And so just kind of not being as forthcoming about certain things. But there is something like very open about just saying like it's all different type of storytelling, right? And
That's true.
yeah,
That's true. And that's like with anybody, right? Any
yeah.
group of people, everybody communicates and hears and takes in information differently, and that's what makes it interesting.
And
So
once
yeah.
battle starts, right? I mean, it's about like everything like crunches down, and it all's happening like even your turn. If your turn takes a couple minutes, it's all supposed to have happened within like 6 seconds every
Yeah.
turn. And so it's like, so even if you're gonna like try and communicate with me, like with my character, like normally the DM, if you're like making more than a few sentences, will go like, okay, like that's kind of got to be your turn. So you
I
know,
know, and that's like one of my biggest,
it's tricky,
pitfalls, because I well, especially with this last battle, I legitimately, I'm not kidding, I did not know what to do.
right?
Because I couldn't remember what
Right.
was effectively hurting Nagrok in the past, or anything like that, and I just sort of thought, like, how does this work? How does this
Right.
game mechanic work where you the mechanics of this game work where you kind of know what to do because it will help this person.
And there's
I
and
I just some
there will be battles like that, I think, where you're suddenly fighting something, or and you're not sure, and so then it's just trial and error. Then it's just like
mm,
hit the thing, see what happens, you know, or like spells like Tasha's hideous laughter that you have, or something like that, that aren't necessarily like attacks, but distractions or something else are good for that, because then you can learn more. You know, there's literally
I
not
definitely want to use that spell, but I think I tried to use it once, but the creature was too big, and so it
right.
didn't really affect them. So I
Or
feel
I
like
think they
we've
maybe just
come across
saved.
such like
Yeah,
giant characters that I'm
right.
like, I don't know when I'm gonna use this thing.
Tasha's hideous laughter, I think, no, I don't think it's size related. It's simply they get a wisdom saving throw, and so if they roll
Oh, is
well,
it?
they
I
won't be
thought
able
it
to
was
beat
a
it.
size thing. I thought it was
Ensnaring
something
strike
like
is the
that.
size thing. Ensnaring,
Oh,
where
okay, okay.
it's literally, you know, vines are coming out of the ground to grasp the person. If they're huge, they're going to be able to just kind of undo it easier. If that makes sense. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that I hope that answers that
It does. No, I
that
mean, and it's
question.
and it's a rhythmical thing about, yeah, like trying to, there are times when D&D feels like a game, and then there's times when it just feels like 5 of us around the table chatting. And the fact that it's all kind of it's that storytelling thing, and you want to find that balance of it. But I think we have found like a really nice balance together as a group in terms of that. But it's, you know, this adventure has been very driven. It's been very kind of like tense from minute one, and so it's just sort of like, we gotta survive. I'll figure out who you are later. You know? Yeah, but I think we've also, like, it's also brought us together in some interesting ways. Yeah, it's true.
What else we got?
I know we got a few questions from chat, actually. I've got a couple others, but let's see. Kilderin asked me, Morgan, or actually Tapardos asked first, because I have a quick answer for this. Do you think one of the characters in next week's one shot is gonna be your ex? I don't.
I almost spit my coffee out.
That would blow my mind, though. I hadn't even thought about that, Tapardos.
Oh my gosh, please, let's make that happen.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. I hadn't thought about that. It
could be weird.
I see. Okay, now I'm not ruling anything out, obviously, but there's things about if Thashia brought us here to do something specifically and put us all together, I don't know why they would have also grabbed Val's ex and dropped her somewhere else, unless she's also a Stormborn, which I guess she could be.
But wouldn't it be so cool though, like if they did choose characters that were like either related, like my weird uncle Glentar.
Glentar the Centaur. Isn't Glenn in the Feywild though? I mean, I love Vent.
But
Glentar.
Maybe they're gonna be in the Feywild. I don't know.
Could be. Don't know. Cardspeak was talking about the drama of Val's Session 0. This is true. I have joked, but Val's Session 0 was like an episode of Succession. It was Dragonborn Succession. It was rough. Kilderin, I really wonder how Morgan came up with his style of fighting. As a previous fighter, I never picked a rapier. I always wanted the big bad sword. I was trained in stage combat. Yep. And I loved rapier and dagger, and I loved what they call small sword, or which is basically kind of like foil or epee fighting. And I thought a lot about, I loved sword fight scenes in movies, and I loved doing sword fights when I was trained to do them for theater. I wanted to try something different than just the two-handed greatsword guy, and I thought of the movie Rob Roy with Liam Neeson and Tim Roth and Jessica Lange, I think, as well. And it's a pretty good movie, but the sword fights in it are incredible. And Tim Roth is the villain in the movie, and he plays this foppish, powdered wig, evil guy who can just dissect you with his sword. And it makes their fights very fascinating, because you've got Liam Neeson, who's huge and swinging this, like, you know, massive cutlass around, and then you've got Tim Roth, who is just quickly diving in and out and just catching you here and there. It's like death by a thousand cuts. And I loved that idea of a dex-based fighter, and Val does come from a noble background, and so I didn't want him to be a huge hulking dragonborn. I wanted him to be a little more lithe, a little faster, and that you know, that idea was a lot more interesting to me than just swinging two-handed greatswords around. I liked that idea and wanted to try that a bit. And I hadn't seen that, really. I've seen dex-based fighters, of course, and so that kind of lithe dueling aspect was really fun, and I wanted to do that. So
that's cool. I didn't know that was unique or unusual, or
I mean,
that's cool.
Like for Ron's character in campaign 1, Uggo was a barbarian, but I mean, his weapon was a maul. It was a two-handed hammer, and so he's doing massive damage with every strike. You know, whereas I think getting to see this last episode, for instance, where I got 5 attacks on one thing in one turn, was exactly what I'm talking about, where it's like pop, 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 pop. You know, it's just sort of like, that's how it can be sometimes. And I thought that was really cool and very visually interesting to me. But
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Cardspeak asks, why did you choose Ranger? You and I can talk about this because we created your character together.
Yeah, honestly, I think some of it, and also maybe partly the Wood Elf thing too. I'm from the Pacific Northwest.
Yes, you're also from
And
Washington State, which is
yeah,
weird.
I'm also from Washington State.
We should just have a cool down
yeah.
that's you, Jared, and Katie, and it's just Washington State talk.
Yeah, totally.
That just
Yeah,
happened.
and
I don't
so
know how it happened.
yeah, and so there was part of me. I think we were talking about environments that I am drawn to, environments that I physically feel like I know well, and that is what I know. I feel like I know, nature in that way, and so it was just really easy to do that. I think that's why we chose that, right?
It
or
was
why I chose
no.
that?
I think you. I think
it was
you
the
really,
entry point.
Yeah. You really liked. We didn't knowing that you were new to D&D. We didn't want to. We wanted to be careful about giving you a full magic casting character. So it was like, and Katie, we already knew was going to be a druid, but also it's like dropping nothing but magic on you from the start is really hard when you're a beginning D&D player. And you were immediately connecting to kind of like being outdoorsy and being kind of having talents,
using your hands, and like
if you don't know this about Kari, she's big camper, she's big, like it's very very granola-y now at times,
sort of,
always,
sometimes
always has a fanny pack though. Kari Lee Cartwright always has a fanny
hands free, guys, hands free. So I can whittle.
That's right. But you get a little bit of magic and you get a little bit of fighting and you get a bunch of skills. It's really great. I'm trying to remember, do you remember Coco? We were down to 2 races with her. It was either going to be elf or something else, and I don't remember what it was. Do you remember?
I don't remember at all.
No, we were looking at 2, and you were like, I either want to be an elf or I want to be something this, and I can't remember what it was, but that's all right. Maybe an ASMR?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Not sure.
Every time you guys say ASMR, I think you're saying ASMR.
It's very similar, right? Yes.
And I literally am like, I don't know.
Some people call them ASMRs, but that sounds weird.
What is that again?
ASMR is they're the opposite of a tiefling, which is basically they are a celestial humanoid. They are a human with angels in their blood, basically.
Oh wow!
Literal celestial,
just like crushed up angels in their bloodstream.
just right in their bloodstream. Yikes! They're on angel dust, but literally. That's a different campaign. Woo! ASMRs, they're on angel dust. What? No. But yeah, and so whereas tieflings are people with like demonic blood. But yes, fun stuff. That's a whole other game, says Fifth Rate. I agree. Yeah. Gosh, we're nearing the end here, folks. I want to make sure I got any more questions, chats and stuff. But yes, do not miss Wednesday night, The Epic Adventures of Ursula Scratch with Katie Michaels, Amy Vorpal, Nassim Etabad, and Vince Casso. We love them. I cannot wait to see this table together. I do have to double check, because it was a good point, if it's going to be a secret room for us. I don't think so, but I don't know. So we'll find out. And and now all these characters will be in our story as well. We've already got these wonderful guests, but that's one of the great things about making it a canonical one-shot is I don't know where these characters are going to go. Maybe we'll see them more later. Not sure.
I really love it when we have guests on. I think it's so fun.
I know. It is really great. Yeah. We love it indeed. I also, again, want to just talk about our this if you don't know, you can find the VOD of these dungeon cooldowns on our Patreon, patreon.com/thedungeonrun. We have such amazing Patreon stuff up there. We're going to do some more cast secrets shortly. We've been doing a lot of the Instagram, what do you call them, like close friends only for the extra bonus content for folks. I'm sure we'll put some stuff up there on Wednesday with the new cast around the table for the one shot. The Patreon exclusive D&D game that I have been running continues to be so much fun. We're having such a blast. The Discord thread is popping off about it, and it's been so wonderful to see and play with some of you and get to tell stories together, and play with folks like Angel Devilson, like Dungeon Speedrun, like who else is in chat. Fifth Rate's going to be playing with us in December. So many amazing things. So check that out. Island Called Respite on our Discord. Yes.
I was so surprised to hear that. Who was it that it was their first time playing D&D?
It's been multiple, but yes, who was it? It was it
was the last game.
Just Jules. It was her first time, I believe, or maybe
was it just Jules?
No, there was somebody else who last time it was. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Lincoln Break. It was Lincoln Break's first time ever playing D&D. They were
and
awesome.
You were just raving about them, and I was just like, wow, that is so fascinating. Like, one, I'm like so surprised that it was their first time.
Yeah.
And that they were instantly so amazing at it.
They were fantastic. and I mean, it was, it's really just about, like, you just try to make it about telling a story together, and the rest of the table is so great. Angel Devilson was amazing because she's quite experienced. Angel Devilson brought a very complicated character that we have only just begun to scratch the surface with.
Oh, wow.
There's some very interesting characters. I just got one, in fact, who was it? Fenderil, who will also be playing in December. Fenderil's character. Whoo! It was like, okay, here we go. But it's gonna be amazing.
That's awesome.
Yes, it's gonna be.
Awesome.
We're having so much fun, and again, I just sing the praises of our community. Such awesome people. Yeah, Kari. Anything else? We're not gonna see you on Wednesday, but have an amazing week. We love you.
I'll see all of you. Creepy. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you won't see me, and I'll see you. No,
I'll see you in the text thread where we're going to be chatting strategy about
exactly
the 14 when we're back.
As always, I'm just so grateful for our audience and this community. It's just like the coolest.
Yeah.
Like, what a weird kind of blessing for this year. I really never would have foreseen any of it.
Happy to be a wonderful surprise for you for 2022.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Well, we love you, folks. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We will see you Wednesday night, and the VOD of this will be available on Patreon shortly. Love you guys. Take care. Bye. Bye. Humankind. Be both.
Be both.
Bye.